I'm gonna start juggling before. I will probably still have. I don't know if the juggling came through or not. I probably will still have the intro at some point, and eventually, it'd be awesome to have an assistant to tell me when I'm actually live. But until that time, we will go with what we have. And good morning. Tahanamers no dobre utra, dobre ranok. Buenos dias. Hey, checked it out. My cup matches my shirt. So, without further ado, I'm going to get right into this today. Trying to keep these as short as possible and not ramble too much. But you know me. So, yeah, it is what it is, and you get what you get. And those of you who like it, I appreciate you so much. And if you have any ideas of things that you want me to talk about in the future, I'm totally open to whatever. I can do hairstyles, obviously, because, right? So today, what we're going to talk about, and this all relates back a little bit to the overwhelm, or a lot of it. But something happened yesterday. I was talking to a guy and was super frustrated about some news that he got and about some work that he had and some things that came up around a previous job that came back that needed to be finished up and things like that, and was just super frustrated and stressed out about it. And I was like, dude, okay, so here's the quick story. So one of the things about the job that he was doing was not something that he loves to do. But it's for something that he's really passionate about. So I'm not gonna get into all these details, but when it came down to it, here, I'll tell you the whole story. I was trying to make this so good, but I'm just gonna go. It was me. I was the dude. So I had this deal that I did for an event called KetoCon back a couple months ago or something like that. Back in, I don't know when it was, last month, April, whenever. And I thought the job was finished. I thought what I had done was over with. And part of the reason I did it is, one, because I can. I was a data image tech. Who knew, right? So it's not really that hard of a job to do. Just have to be a little bit nerdy and pay attention to details. First time doing it. But I didn't realize that there was going to be some follow-up to that. And I have a very busy schedule. So I decided that I was going to let it just freak me out for a little bit, because I was like, I have a lot of things going on. One, I kind of do these. This takes me about a half an hour total time, so it's not that big of a deal. Plus, I really enjoy it, and I love talking to all of you, or pretty much talking to myself, but I think that maybe it's kind of like talking to people. And so I was like, well, it was fine to do. I don't mind it. I'm nerdy. I can figure it. I figured it out. It was easy. It was 5 days, no big deal. Thought it was over with. And I was talking to somebody. I was like, the thing I don't like about it is it's not helping to potentially change other people's lives and give them different perspectives and make them a better human being and make a bigger difference in the world. And then little conversation with myself. The reason I said it was this guy that I know is because it was a guy that I know. It's the other version of me that's a complete whiny, piss and moan victim, because that guy comes back every once in a while. And I was like, you know what, dude? It does actually help people, because what you're doing makes the recordings of the event available to the attendees that were there, so that they can watch it either for the first time or watch it again and learn something that they can use in their lives and potentially in other people's lives and help change their lives. So the grandma part, the whole title of this, right? You're like, what does that have to do with the grandmas? It goes back to one thing that I learned from my grandma that she didn't even know she was teaching me. And that is the little story behind that. This is actually a kind of a cool story. We were out walking one time. I used to make her do exercises and walk and different things. I'm a slave driver. And we were out, and we walked by her car, and she was saying something about selling her car. And I said, well, why do you want to sell your car? And her answer was, well, I still can drive and I like it, but I probably shouldn't. And that was it. And what I took away from that was the fact that sometimes we just have to accept things that are or what they are instead of trying to either change them or get all frustrated with why they are. And sometimes we just have to accept the fact that nobody makes us do anything that we don't want to do. Hopefully, right? Unless somebody's got a gun to your head, which hopefully that's not the case. But everything that you do and everything that you have and everything, this is the conversation I have with myself. Like, dude, you made the decision to go do that thing, and you made the decision to do the 47 things that you have going on. I only have a few that I focus on. One, actually, only like two that are my main primary focus. Because otherwise, it's like I can juggle 3 really, really easily. But when you put 5 together, I can do it, but it's not as good. It doesn't last as long, and it all comes crumbling down. So that's the conversation I have with myself. Dude, you made the decision. Suck it up, buttercup, and go do the thing. Like, you pissing and moaning and whining and complaining about it and being a victim about a circumstance that you decided to do in the past that's come back now that you have to tie off is not going to make it any more fun. So just do the thing, okay? And so those are the conversations I have with myself. I probably spend too much time alone. I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that is useful for 1 or 2 of you that get to see this. And to finish this off, went a little longer than I expected because I just had too many things going on in my brain. But the quote of the day ties into this very, very well. It's from Byron Katie from her book, Loving What Is. Great book, by the way. And the quote is, "When you argue with reality, you lose, but only 100% of the time." Perfect. I heard that quote the other day, and it's funny how things all fall into place in the certain sequence that they do when you start paying attention to the things that are going on in your life and outside, right? I don't know. Crazy. Word of the day, censure. I didn't know the actual definition of this word. I always attributed made it synonymous with censure. Censure, and you hear that word tossed around all the time in like politics, right? Well, censure is someone, what is this? To censure someone is to formally criticize or reprimand them for an act or failure, especially from a position of authority. Example, he was censured by the committee for his failure to report the problem. Maybe it was a problem with the coffee. I don't know. That is all I have for today. Think about the beginning of this and what lessons have you learned? I would like, if anybody's watching this till this point, till the end, down below, tell me a lesson that you've learned from someone that you either knew was a lesson at the time or later on it hit you that it was a lesson. I thought of this lesson from my grandma when I was driving to her funeral. So I was just like, I just think about grandma. And that just popped in my head because I was driving. So what do you do when you go throughout your day that reminds you of certain things in the past that you've done and that you've learned from different people directly or indirectly? And what lesson has that taught you? I would love to know because I love learning. So, because I'm a nerd. With that said, have an amazing day because it's better than the alternative.